Greetings, weary travelers, and welcome to another fantastically chronicled adventure from the world of Pokemon. Our last adventure with a Surskit through the world of Leaf Green was actually rather difficult at several points along the way. So today, let's have an easy one. In celebration of Pride Month, as a gay man, yes I know, feel free to leave bigoted comments, they're good for the algorithm. As a gay man, I felt it prudent to celebrate Pride Month by taking the rainbow Pokemon out for a spin. What's that? It's not Pride Month anymore? Well, what does that mean then? Right. So no more gay? Boobies are awesome then. Yes, that will do. Alright, so truth be told guys, I took off a bit more time than I had planned to, and I had planned to get this out in June, but I ran out of time. My fiance and I took a bit of a 3-day mini vacation there at the end of the month, and I just didn't have time to get this finished. But here we are, the run's done, and we're gonna do this anyway, so here we go. Today we're gonna seek out the answer to the question, can I beat Pokemon Heart Gold with only a single Ho-Oh? So I don't think this one needs a lot of setup. Ho-Oh is the box legendary from Pokemon Gold, introduced all the way back in Generation 2, though it was actually first introduced on the show in the very first episode near the very end, though it was not identified by name, of course. We have a base stat total of 680, which puts us in a class with numerous other legendary Pokemon like Lugia, Hoopa, Mewtwo, and many others. We've got really insanely good stats in just about everything. Even our lowest stats are still clocking in at a very respectable 90. Yeah, I don't think this one's going to be a problem at all. Moveset-wise, I feel like it might be simpler to list what Ho-Oh can't learn. We have just an absurdly long list of moves that we can learn, with a huge variety of type coverage. We are going to be stuck with Weather Ball until level 9 when we learn Gust, which is why we're not doing this in Platinum, by the way. In Platinum, we wouldn't learn a damaging move all the way until level 15, and I love you guys, but struggling for 10 levels just for the hell of it? No, not happening. You can go watch Madrybread or J-Rose or hell even Tion would probably do something like that. Not happening here. Not yet at least. By TM, again, this list is really, really strong. Loads of type coverage with everything from Ghost to Grass to Psychic to Rock to Steel to even Rock Smash of all things. We've got a huge arsenal at our disposal. We're gonna be fine. And so while I'm sure it's pretty obvious we've got this, for those of you who haven't already left a bigoted comment about me being gay should comment down below anyway, and please Algorithm, God of the YouTube algorithm, and let me know if you think I can do this or not. Finally, let's go over our rules. In battle, we can only use Ho-Oh. We'll need other Pokemon for HMs, but we won't be using those Pokemon in battle. I also will not use any items in battle, though of course held items and items outside of battle are going to be allowed. And lastly, I won't use any cheats, glitches, or exploits, aside from replacing our starter with Ho-Oh. So let's do it. So we start our prideful adventure off by stomping away from our mother, getting our butts kicked by this pervert standing in the window, and then meet Professor Tree and pick up our glorious rainbow bird. We nickname it, well, maybe it's best if you try to pronounce that yourself. Several times out loud to yourself, in fact. Go on. I'll wait. Anyway, once we've obtained our starting legendary, we're free to visit Mr. Pokemon. There we walk in on Mr. Pokemon Professor Oak playing a simple game of chutes and ladders, and after Mr. Pokemon hits that big chute on the top row that sends the player all the way back down to the second row and rage flips the table in protest, he gets up and delivers us an egg to return to Professor Tree for a nice soft-boiled breakfast sandwich. Now before we deliver that egg, we actually do get stopped along the way and have to do battle against our rival Tim. And though he has the type event with Totodile, he doesn't know a water move yet, and we've got beastly stats, so I think even if he did, it wouldn't matter, as with just a couple of weather balls, we're able to bring him down and be on our merry way. Once we return to Professor Tree, we're able to deliver the egg to the man who's apparently never eaten breakfast before, as he's shocked by the egg, and then we're free to finally begin the adventure. At this point, the best thing we can do is head straight for Sprout Tower. Well, it's really the only thing we can do at this point, but those two statements don't have to be mutually exclusive after all. Once we clear out the tower, it's time to take on Faulkner at the Flying Gym. This bird-on-bird action isn't very foul, though. We just keep going for Gust over and over. The Spearow is an easy two-shot with it, but the Pidgeotto is a bit harder to deal with. It keeps using Roost at very inopportune times, to make it a fair bit difficult to actually defeat. We actually wind up taking a lot more damage than I reckoned we would going into this fight, even landing ourselves down in the red before we were finally able to overwhelm his damn bird to end the fight and secure our first badge. Not exactly a soaring start to the game, but I'll take it, and our flight of fancy can continue. Along the way south of town, I stop and catch a Mareep for Flash later, nicknaming it Flashelius the 54th, long may he shine, as well as a Bellsprout for Cut later, nicknaming it Snipticus the 54th, long may he cut, and proceed through the cave into Azalea Town. Once we get to Azalea Town, I make a beeline for the Slowpoke Well, where I have to clear out our first dose of Team Evil. Once that's accomplished, though, we make our way into the Azalea Town gym leader's gym and his bug-loving kid, Bugsy. Actually, no wait, the gym leader is the bug-loving kid, Bugsy. Screw it, we're rolling with it. And perhaps to no one's great surprise at all, we easily dispatch Bugsy without so much as a second thought. I mean, come on. We're a legendary flying and fire type against a bug gym leader. Not a problem at all. Speaking of no problem at all, we have absolutely no trouble defeating our rival Tim on the way out of town. A fight that can normally cause some consternation is of course an easy time with a legendary in our pocket. We can then proceed into Ilex Forest and rescue the wayward Farfetch'ds. Once I've secured the lost birds, we're able to make our way into Goldenrod City and we can take our first crack at the legendarily hard gym leader Whitney. This time though, it is we who are legendary and a single brave bird brings down the Clefairy. After that, her Miltank actually survives one in the red, which allows us to bring it down with a gust to end the fight and secure the next badge. Excellent. Moving north, we find our way into Ecruteak City, but before we can do anything, we have to have another rival fight against Tower Tim. But what can we say here either? Between Brave Bird and Extrasensory, we're able to stomp our rival without so much as a second thought. 4 gym battles in, and we haven't had to reset a single time yet. Let's see how long this luck streak can continue. Next up, we do battle against Morty the Ghost Gym, and perhaps again, to no one's great surprise, we're able to defeat him with ease. We're a legendary with a super effective move. Even his fully evolved Gengar can't do much against us, and we just bowl over his ghost like there's no tomorrow. I know that we're just cruising right along, guys. This was not meant to be a hard one. You gotta have some really nice, fun, easy ones once in a while, otherwise you just go insane. After Morty, who didn't stand a ghost of a chance, we head south to Olivine City, where we fish up a Staryu for Surf and such later, nickname it Aquades the 54th, long may they swim, and then decide to clear out the local lighthouse. Because screw maritime traffic safety. Or rather, we want maritime traffic safety because this is all actually now a fetch quest to get some medicine for the light bulb Pokemon in the top of the lighthouse. So we go down to Cianwood Island and make our way to Shady Sam's super secret potion shack and get the medicine we need to heal up that Ampharos back in Olivine. While we're here, I also go ahead and take a crack at the fighting gym. And I don't think I've ever had a quicker matchup with Chuck than I do right here. He has only 2 Pokemon, and both go down to a single super effective Brave Bird each, and we secure the next win for our chronicled adventure. Unfortunately for us, though, this run finally hits its first problem and speed bump against Jasmine at the Steel Gym. We have to try for Extrasensory against the Magnemite due to its pressure. If we go for Fire Blast, we're going to run out of them by the time we get to Steelix. We get confused and paralyzed and ultimately go down to the second Magnemite for our first legitimate knockout of the entire game so far. Even the box legendary Ho-Oh cannot really do much here. Though admittedly, if we had a better fire move, we'd probably be in business. Oh well, there's still a few things I can do before we take care of Jasmine, so let's go do those first. So at this point, I head to Mahogany Town to take care of those few things. We head off to the Lake of Rage and pick up the Choice Specs, which is going to boost our special attack. As if Ho-Oh really needed any extra boosts, but hey, we'll take it. And then we pick a fight with the shiny red Gyarados. Once I've taken care of that, I head back to Mahogany Town and set about clearing out Team Rocket, hiding in the shady underbelly of the town. Again, we don't really have any obstacles here. Team Rocket gets beaten every week by a 10-year-old with a Pikachu. Do you really think a box legendary would have any issues dealing with them? Once we've cleared them out of town, we can take on Bryce at the Ice Gym. So we're fire and flying, and that means ice is going to be neutral against us, but we don't really have much trouble here either because our stats are really just that good. Our Choice Specs grant us a 20% boost to our special attacks, and Extrasensory allows us to pretty much just autopilot through the Bryce fight without any issues. One right after another, we're able to get past Seal, Piloswine, and Dugong and secure the next badge to get us where we need to go. And where we need to go is back to Olivine City and Jasmine at the Steel Gym. And would you look at that, we're still losing here. Wow. You wouldn't think we'd be having issues at the Steel Gym with a Fire-type legendary. Again, we'd be in business if I used Fire Blast, but not only can it miss a lot, pressure's gonna eat up our power points fast. Guess we'll have to do a bit of leveling to get Sacred Fire, which will miss a lot less. And yeah, would you look at that. Once we level up and learn Sacred Fire, we have virtually no trouble at all against Jasmine. We melt her little magnets into the ground without issue, and we nearly one-shot the Steelix, but we managed to leave it with a sliver as it turns around and heals with a berry and then gets Hyper Potioned, which allows it to hang in the fight a little more than I probably would have thought it would have been able to. Eventually though, as expected, her Metal Snake melts down like the second Terminator, and we win the fight. At this point, we now get to go deal with some more doings of Transpiring back at Goldenrod City at the local Radio Shack. So we're going to stop and catch a Hoot Hoot for Fly, nicknaming it Flapsity the 54th, long may he fly, and head back to the Radio Shack. There's not much standing in our way here. Team Rocket again has never stood in our way before, and they're not gonna start now, folks. Along the way, we have to stop and have a fight against our rival. And unfortunately for us, due to some bad foresight on my part, I decided to go with Extrasensory right out of the gate. And because Choice Specs locks you into using the same move over and over again, we go fine right up until we run smack dab into the Sneasel, which being a dark type, is immune to psychic type moves. Alright, we're just gonna have to try that one again. And trying that one again, this time we use Gust instead of Extrasensory, and our blustering hot air leads us to a swift victory over the opponent and secures us perhaps an unexpected win and allows us to secure our title as President of the United States. Or Rather, I should say we don't have any real trouble defeating our rival Tim, except for a bit of a hiccup against the Magnemite, but even that doesn't pose much of a problem as it misses one of its supersonics, and our paralysis isn't that severe. We're going to really overcome the adversity and seize the day once again. Wow, that was a really bad sentence. I should have written that much better. Whew. Okay. Whew. What was I thinking? Clearing Team Rocket out of the Radio Shack isn't much trouble, and after that we're able to move our way back to Blackthorn City and take on Claire at the Dragon Gym. But before I can do that, I have to make our way through the walk-in freezer at the back of the local McDonald's so we can stop and pick up a Swine Up for Strength, nicknaming it Bicepticus the 54th, long may she live. And after some basic strength puzzles that really just amount to stalling for time, we make our way to Blackthorn. Unfortunately for us, again, we run into a roadblock and we just make several attempts here, but we don't have a lot of luck. Both with and without the choice specs, you can see we do not have enough to deal with what Claire can throw at us. Much like Jasmine earlier, we're kind of stuck here, as there's not much else we can do. Our box legendary is beaten by a lowly gym leader again. Well, that's kind of embarrassing. So we go do a little bit of grinding in the local area and level ourselves up to 55 and try Claire again. And now that we have what we need, we have a bit more health and a bit more oomph, and we're able to Brave Bird over her entire squad. Though it was not without incident. In fact, it still takes a bit of luck as her Kingdra has to miss a Hydro Pump along the way, which will prove critical and necessary. Without that miss, we'd have not been able to secure the win. You can see just how much damage we're taking from the recoil of Brave Bird. We also got a timely critical hit, though I'm not convinced it was really necessary, but I'll take a crit about 100% of the time. But except for in some circumstances in Gen 1 where it actually is beneficial to not get a critical hit, I'll take a critical hit 100% of the time. From there though, we've now gotten all 8 gym badges safely secured and can proceed back to Ecruteak City to defeat the Kimono Girls who give us the Clear Bell. The Clear Bell that lets us encounter Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh, the Pokemon that we already have on our team. Well, alright then. After navigating our way up the tower, we finally come face to face with our clone. And what a beautiful bird if I do say so myself. We aren't that high up over it on the level scale, but we do manage to get what we need and get a critical hit one-shot with Brave Bird to bring down the game's true box legendary in a one-shot and finish it off without incident whatsoever. Very nice. Although I did expect a bit more majestic of a fight. Moving through Victory Road is mostly uneventful, though we do find at the exit we have to face our rival Tim once more. And we actually lose the first attempt thanks to the Magneton and us being locked into Gust for the duration of the battle. The second attempt doesn't go any better with Brave Bird, so I decide to remove the choice specs, and once we do that, we can now mow down his entire squad without incident. Losing the 20% damage boost is significant from the choice specs, but it allows us to pick and choose the matchups we need with the moves we have, which lets us mix and match to easily mow down his Pokemon. This time including the Magneton that was causing us trouble from the beginning. With that, we can start on the Elite Four, and Psychic Trainer Willa's out first, so I decide again to go for Gust with our choice specs and just plow through his team. Doesn't go extremely well against Xatu, but a critical hit against Slowbro for a one-shot makes me think we might be alright as we progress through this team. Unfortunately, as we approach his final Xatu, that's where this gets a little bit unraveled. We get confused, take some damage from ourselves, and ultimately land down at 1 HP as we break out of confusion, but we just miss finishing off his Xatu, which we bring it to a sliver as well before we get knocked out by an ominous wind and lose the fight. Oh man, that was so close. Alright, we're gonna have another go. I go ahead with a second attempt, this time with Brave Bird instead of Gust, and I don't have any issues at all. I start hemorrhaging HP again though from the recoil, so it is a close fight, but ultimately one that we breeze through with just the right amount of health to get through to the next fight. Speaking of breezing right along, we have Koga up next, and most of his team is part Bug. We're a Fire-type legendary, and just like Bugsy all the way back at Azalea Town, we're quickly able to Sacred Fire his entire team just as quickly as you can say Big Mac with a side of fries. Speaking of Big Mac and a side of fries, this video is brought to you by Raid Shadow... me, because I don't have any sponsors. Oh yeah, Bruno is up next, and our extra sensory is just too much for him to deal with. Most of his team is weak to Psychic, and the one that isn't has low special defense, so it might as well be. Well, this middle of the Elite Four sandwich has proved to be extremely soft and malleable. Let's see if Karen lives up to her moniker this time. And no, she definitely could not. Our Brave Bird plus Choice Spec were really just too much for her team to deal with. Man, okay, I know Ho-Oh is a box legendary, but it's still refreshing to just storm right through the Elite Four without any issues to speak of. Though you can see just how much health we lose again thanks to that recoil on Brave Bird. It is a close fight, but another one that we walk away from victorious. And I ultimately try Lance again and again and again. There's no trouble getting back to Lance, it's just a problem getting enough Thunders to land and inflicting enough damage to be able to get past Lance. Thunder is horribly inaccurate. If it's not 100% accurate in this game, it might as well be 10% accurate. So this predictably takes many, many attempts. I ultimately just make several runs through the Elite Four again and again to gain the levels to get stronger and stronger. Ultimately, we get to level 74 and we're finally able to do enough damage against his Dragonites to secure the win. And wow, there we go. We've beaten Heart Gold with just a single Ho-Oh. I didn't think we'd have to be level 74 to do it. Now, that really wasn't unexpected, but just a little longer than I thought. We knew it would happen, but there is still more in this game. The question you're all probably wondering is, can we beat the secret final post-game boss Red? Let's find out. Alright, so here's the deal. We get to Red around level 85. There's really not much to talk about in Kanto. It's all pretty much just stuck on the back with a post-it note to the game. Really easy, really simple. We get to Red at level 85, and I don't have a lot of luck. We outspeed his Pikachu, but it knows Volt Tackle with a Light Orb, which boosts its damage by 50%, that a super effective Volt Tackle can and does one-shot us. So there's nothing I can do setup-wise, but we have to immediately knock out his Pikachu with a Sacred Fire. After that, we're in a pickle. The AI puts Blastoise and Lapras to the front of the party since they will both do us in pretty quick, and I don't have a good answer for either of them aside from Thunder. Or really, Brave Bird does a lot of damage to them as well, but I don't have what I need here. We're getting our butts handed to us again and again. I do manage to touch his Snorlax a couple of times, but we can barely even scratch it. Now, could we beat this fight at level 100? Possibly? But will I attempt it? No, not right now. It's really not worth the effort, and with Pride Month fast drawing to a close, I want to make sure I at least get this video out for you guys, so that's what we're going to call this. Oh, well that's kind of awkward. I'm still not going to try this though. I honestly don't think it's going to matter. Pikachu can one-shot us with that Volt Tackle and Light Orb. Even level 100, I don't think is going to matter. I think it's still going to one-shot us with that, so we would have to knock it out. We're barely doing anything to Blastoise and Lapras, much less that Snorlax. I just don't see this happening. Again, we'll put this in the pile for things we'll come back and revisit later, but again, I don't want to waste a bunch of time doing something that probably isn't going to happen. And again, what do I have to prove? I beat the game with just a Ho-Oh. This is all post-game. And if you guys really want to see it that bad, well, leave it down in the comments. We'll come back to it. So yeah, that's what we're going to call this. Who'd have thought Red would put Ho-Oh in its place, but we really just don't have what we need here. We're getting our butts handed to quickly, and while I believe level 100 is possible, it's not worth the effort at this time. Again, feel free to rage in the comments if that pisses you off. It does boost engagement. But in any case, y'all, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Join my Bard Breaker Discord server at the link down in the doobly-doo. Tell me what your favorite soda is in the comments, and until next video, go catch 'em all.